Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the star of our show, Teri.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Music and Me. I'm your host, Teri, and I have a question for you. Have you ever noticed that some of the greatest songs ever written have one thing in common? Rain. It's funny when you think about it. Rain can mean so many different things. It can symbolize heartbreak, hope, change, new beginnings, loneliness, healing, or sometimes it's just the perfect excuse to stay inside with your favorite record spinning on the turntable. Songwriters have been using rain as a metaphor for decades. And honestly, I don't think they're ever going to stop. There's just something about a rainy day that makes us feel a little more reflective. Maybe it's because everything slows down. Maybe it's because rain has a way of bringing back memories. But whatever the reason, rain has inspired some of the biggest hits in music history. And rain also inspired this particular podcast. I thought of this idea while I was feeding my cat on a rainy day. I was stuck in the barn, it was pouring down rain, and I thought, what are the top songs about rain? So that's where this podcast episode came from. So today, I thought we'd have a little fun with that. We're counting down 10 of the most popular songs about rain. This list covers more than 70 years of music and includes everything from classic rock and country to movie musicals, pop anthems, and powerhouse ballads. Some of these songs have become cultural icons, some have won Oscars and Grammys, and a few are simply impossible not to sing along with. Now, before we get started, I know lists like this can spark some debate. Music is personal, and I'm sure there's at least one rain song you're already thinking of that isn't going to make my top 10. But don't worry, because we'll get to some honorable mentions before we wrap things up. So grab a cup of coffee, listen to the rain if it's falling where you are, and let's get this countdown started. Coming in at number 10 is a song that proves even the dreariest day of the week can become a timeless classic. If you've ever looked out the window on a gray Monday morning and thought, "Can't I just stay in bed today?" then this song is definitely going to speak to you. Our number 10 rain song is Rainy Days and Mondays by the Carpenters. Released in 1971, this became one of the duo's signature songs. And it's hard to imagine anyone else singing it. Karen Carpenter had one of those voices that could make you stop whatever you were doing and just listen. There was something so warm and comforting about her voice, even when she was singing about feeling down. The song was written by the legendary songwriting team of Paul Williams and Roger Nichols, who somehow managed to take two things that most people complain about, rainy days and Mondays, and turn them into one of the most beautiful songs of the 70s. Now, let's be honest for a second, Mondays have never exactly had the best reputation. Add a little rain, and suddenly your motivation disappears faster than your weekend did. I think that's why this song has connected with people for more than 50 years. We've all had those days when nothing feels quite right. The sky is gray, you're not in your best mood, and everything just feels a little heavier. But that's the beauty of music. Sometimes the songs we love most aren't the ones that make us feel happier. They're the ones that remind us we're not the only ones who've ever felt that way. And Karen Carpenter did that better than almost anyone. Now, let's fast forward almost 50 years. Moving up to number 9, we're trading melancholy for the dance floor. This next song reminds us that sometimes the best way to survive life's storms isn't to hide from them, it's to dance right through them. So coming in at number 9 is Rain on Me by Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. Released in 2020, this wasn't just another pop collaboration. It became an anthem about resilience. Instead of wishing the rain would go away, they're basically saying, "Bring it on, I can handle it." I love that twist because so many rain songs are about sadness or heartbreak. This one flips the script completely. The rain becomes a symbol of healing, strength, and washing away everything that's been weighing you down. And let's talk about those vocals for a second. Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande are two powerhouse singers, and somehow they manage to bring out the best in each other. You can hear the emotion, but you also want to turn the volume up and start dancing around your living room. Fun fact, this song won the Grammy for Best Pop Duo Group Performance, and it's easy to hear why. It became one of the defining pop songs of 2020. I also think it showed us something important. Rain doesn't always have to represent bad times. Sometimes it represents making it through them, and that's a pretty powerful message. All right, let's keep this countdown rolling. At number 8, we're stepping back in time for one of the most joyful performances ever captured on film. Even if you've never watched the entire movie, chances are you've seen someone recreating this iconic scene. Our pick for number 8 is Singin' in the Rain. Now, here's something that surprises a lot of people. The song itself was actually written decades before the famous 1952 movie, but it was Gene Kelly's unforgettable performance that made it legendary. Can you picture it? He's walking down the street with an umbrella, splashing through the puddles, spinning around lampposts, and smiling like he doesn't have a care in the world. It's one of the most recognizable scenes in movie history. And here's a fun behind-the-scenes fact. Gene Kelly reportedly filmed that famous dance sequence while running a high fever. You'd never know it by watching him. He makes it look effortless. And I think that's one of the reasons this song has lasted for generations. It's just pure joy. There's no heartbreak, no sadness, just someone embracing the rain instead of running from it. And that's not a bad life lesson. How often do we spend our time trying to avoid life storms instead of finding a reason to smile through them? Maybe Gene Kelly had it figured out all along. And that's why Singin' in the Rain still feels just as magical today as it did more than 70 years ago. Here's another fun fact. Singin' in the Rain is one of my favorite classic movies. I love this movie so much, and I love the song. And every time I hear the song, I think of the movie. So we've already made it through the first 3 songs. Now it's time to keep this countdown rolling. Lucky number 7 belongs to a song that completely changed the course of one superstar's career. It also gave us one of the catchiest choruses of the 2000s. In fact, I bet just hearing the title has Ella, 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 playing in your head already. Coming in at number 7 is Umbrella by Rihanna featuring Jay-Z. Released in 2007, this song was absolutely everywhere, and it's still everywhere. I hear it all the time on the radio at work. It topped the charts in countries all over the world, spent 7 straight weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and became one of the defining songs of the decade. Now, here's a fun fact. I always love hearing stories like this. Umbrella was actually offered to Britney Spears first, but it never made it onto one of her albums. The song eventually landed with Rihanna, and I can't imagine anyone else singing it. Sometimes a song just finds the artist it was meant for. Even though the title is Umbrella, the song really isn't about the weather at all. It's about loyalty. It's about standing by someone through life's storms and reminding them they don't have to face everything alone. That's probably one of the reasons it's connected with so many people. We've all needed someone who was willing to stand behind us when things got tough. And let's be honest, that chorus is impossible to forget. More than 15 years later, all someone has to do is say umbrella, and chances are half the room is going to finish the lyric. That's the sign of a truly iconic song. Well, we are getting closer to the top 5. Who's excited? Coming in at number 6, we have a song with one of the most impossible titles ever written. Seriously, how exactly do you set fire to the rain? Somehow, Adele makes it make perfect sense. Our number 6 pick is Set Fire to the Rain. Released in 2011 on her blockbuster album 21, this became one of Adele's biggest hits and earned her another #1 song in the United States. I've always loved the title because it's impossible, and yet it's unforgettable. Of course, she's not talking about literal rain. She's using it as a metaphor for the emotional chaos that comes with a relationship that's falling apart. It's dramatic, it's emotional, and it's exactly the kind of songwriting Adele does so well. One of my favorite parts of the song is the way it builds. It starts with quiet emotion, but by the time that chorus arrives, it feels like she's letting every emotion she's been holding back come pouring out. If you've ever been through heartbreak, you've probably had one of those moments where you wished you could do something completely impossible just to make the hurt stop. That's what makes this song so relatable. Here's something else that's pretty incredible. Adele has one of those rare voices that barely needs any production. Put her behind a microphone with a great song, and she'll have your full attention within seconds. And Set Fire to the Rain is one of the best examples of that. I love this song, but I love anything Adele does. She's one of my favorite powerhouse artists. All right, so we've reached the halfway point of our countdown. At number 5 is a song that reminds us rainy days don't always have to be sad. In fact, this Oscar-winning classic might just be the happiest song ever written about bad weather. Coming in at number 5 is Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head by B.J. Thomas. This is the song my mom knew when I said I was doing a list of rain songs. So shout out to my mom. This one's for you. Released in 1969, the song was featured in the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and it became an instant classic. It went on to win the Academy Award for Best Original Song and climbed all the way to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. What's interesting is that this song takes a completely different approach than most rain songs. Instead of focusing on heartbreak or loneliness, it's all about optimism. Sure, the rain keeps falling, but the message is basically, I'm not going to let it ruin my day. Honestly, that's a pretty good philosophy. Life is going to throw challenges at all of us. There are going to be storms we can't avoid, but we get to decide how to respond to them. I also think that's one of the reasons this song has stayed popular for more than 50 years. It's upbeat, it's catchy, and it leaves you feeling just a little bit better than you did before you heard it. And sometimes that's exactly what great music is supposed to do. Well, we've officially made it through the first half of our countdown, and now things are about to get really interesting. Next, we're headed into the top 4 with a pair of Creedence Clearwater Revival classics and one of the biggest rock epics ever recorded. And from here on out, every song on this list has earned its place as an all-time classic. Just missing the top 3 at number 4 is a song that sparked conversations and debates for more than 50 years. Is it about the weather? Is it about politics? Or is it about a band that was beginning to fall apart? The truth is, it depends on who you ask. Coming in at number 4 is Have You Ever Seen the Rain by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Released in 1971, this song has become one of those timeless classics that seems to get better with age. It's the kind of song you'll hear on classic rock radio, in movies, on playlists, and probably at least once during every road trip. One of the things that I love most about this song is its simplicity. It doesn't rely on flashy production or complicated lyrics. It's just a great melody, honest songwriting, and John Fogerty's unmistakable voice. Now, for years, people wondered what the song was really about. Some believed it was a reference to political unrest during the Vietnam era. Others thought it was about difficult times in general. John Fogerty later explained that the song was inspired by what was happening within Creedence Clearwater Revival. The band had achieved incredible success, but behind the scenes, things were beginning to unravel. The rain represented the sadness that can exist even when everything looks successful from the outside. I think that's one reason the song continues to resonate with so many people. We've all had moments where everything appeared to be going well on the surface, but underneath, we were carrying something heavy. And that's what great songwriting does. It gives us lyrics that can mean something different depending on where we are in life. No matter how many times I hear this song, it never gets old. All right, everybody, we've made it. Welcome to the top 3. And our number 3 pick proves that something bigger really is better. This song is nearly 9 minutes long, featuring one of the most unforgettable guitar solos in rock history, and somehow became one of the biggest hits of the 1990s. Coming in at number 3 is November Rain by Guns N' Roses. Released in 1992, this wasn't your typical rock single. At nearly 9 minutes, it broke just about every rule for what a radio hit was supposed to do. But listeners didn't care. The song became an instant classic. If you've ever heard Slash's soaring guitar solo near the end of the song, you know exactly why people still talk about it more than 30 years later. It's emotional, powerful, and honestly, one of the greatest guitar moments ever recorded. And then there's the music video. If you grew up in the MTV era like I did, chances are you remember it. The sweeping orchestra, the dramatic wedding scenes, Slash somehow playing a guitar solo in the middle of the desert. It was larger than life. In fact, November Rain became the first rock music video ever to surpass 1 billion views on YouTube, introducing the song to an entirely new generation of fans. What I find fascinating is how the rain itself becomes a symbol throughout the song. It's not just weather. It represents love, loss, uncertainty, and the realization that even the strongest relationships can face difficult seasons. It's emotional, it's theatrical, it's unapologetically over the top, and honestly, that's why people love it. Sometimes a song isn't meant to be subtle. Sometimes it's meant to be an experience. And November Rain absolutely delivers. All right, everybody, we've arrived at the final 2 songs on today's countdown, and I have to admit, choosing between them wasn't easy. One is a song that became part of music history and helped define the career of one of the greatest performers who ever lived. The other has quietly stood the test of time for more than 5 decades, continuing to inspire listeners with its simple yet powerful message. Which one will take the number 1 spot? We're going to find out in just a few minutes. So here we are at the final 2 songs, and honestly, if you asked 10 different people to rank these, you'd probably get 10 different answers. That just goes to show how iconic these songs really are. Our runner-up at number 2 is more than just a song. It's a cultural landmark. Ask almost anyone to name a song about rain, and there's a pretty good chance this masterpiece is the first one they'll mention. Coming in at number 2 is Purple Rain by Prince. Released in 1984 as the title track from both the album and the movie, Purple Rain wasn't just another hit. It became Prince's signature song. And what a song it is. From the very first notes, you know you're about to hear something special. It starts out soft and emotional, slowly builds, and then explodes into one of the most unforgettable guitar solos ever recorded, besides the one in November Rain. Prince has this incredible ability to blend pop, rock, R&B, soul, and even gospel influences into something that sounded completely original. Nobody sounded like Prince. People have spent decades trying to figure out exactly what Purple Rain means, and Prince was always a little mysterious about it. One explanation that he shared was that purple represents the end of the world, where blue, or the sky, and red, or blood, came together. Rain symbolizes being with the one you love and letting your faith guide you through difficult times. Whether that's exactly what you hear when you listen doesn't really matter. That's one of the things I love most about music. A great song doesn't have to mean the same thing to everyone. It becomes part of your own story. Maybe Purple Rain reminds you of someone you loved. Maybe it brings back memories of high school, a concert, or simply hearing it on the radio for the first time. Whatever it means to you, there's no denying it's one of the greatest songs ever recorded. And if this landed at number one, I don't think anyone would argue with that. But there was one song that, for me, captures the idea of rain just a little bit better. And that brings us to today's number one pick. All right, here we are. After 70 years of incredible music, countless storms, and more than a few unforgettable choruses, we've reached the number one rain song on today's countdown. So coming in at number one is Who Will Stop the Rain by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Released in 1970, this song has become one of the defining classics of American rock music. Like so many of Creedence's greatest songs, it sounds simple on the surface, but the more you listen, the more you realize just how much is packed into those lyrics. Over the years, people have interpreted the song in a lot of different ways. Some hear it as a reflection on political unrest during the Vietnam War. Others hear it as a song about life struggles, disappointment, or searching for hope when everything around you feels uncertain. And maybe that's exactly why it's lasted for more than 50 years. It never tells you what to think. It simply asks the question, who will stop the rain? Sometimes the best songs don't give us answers. They remind us that we're all asking the same questions. Musically, it's classic Creedence. John Fogerty's unmistakable voice, that instantly recognizable guitar sound, and a melody that's somehow both comforting and haunting at the same time. It's one of those songs that can mean something completely different depending on where you are in life. When you're young, it just sounds like a great classic rock song. As you get older, you begin to understand the lyrics in a whole new way. And to me, that's the mark of a truly timeless song. And that's why Who Will Stop the Rain earns my number one spot. Of course, there are so many great rain songs that I just couldn't fit into the top 10. A few that definitely deserve some love are Riders on the Storm by The Doors, No Rain by Blind Melon, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain by Willie Nelson, Rhythm of the Rain by The Cascades, Here Comes the Rain Again by The Eurythmics, Smoky Mountain Rain by Ronnie Millsap, Only Happy When It Rains by Garbage, and It Will Rain by Bruno Mars. I'm sure some of those would make your personal top 10, and honestly, that's what makes conversations like this so much fun. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of today's countdown, and I have to say, putting this list together reminded me just how incredible music can be. It's amazing to think that something as simple as rain has inspired songwriters for generations. Whether it's a symbol of heartbreak, hope, healing, new beginnings, or simply finding the courage to dance through life's storms, rain has always been one of music's greatest storytellers. From Gene Kelly joyfully splashing through puddles and singing in the rain, to Prince pouring his heart into Purple Rain, these songs remind us that some of the most unforgettable music is born from life's stormiest moments. They connect us to memories, help us through difficult seasons, and sometimes they simply make us smile on an otherwise gloomy day. If you enjoyed today's countdown, I'd really appreciate if you'd follow the show, leave a review, or share this episode with the music lovers in your life. It truly helps the music and me reach more listeners. And I'm so grateful that you've chosen to spend part of your day with me. Next time, we're going to trade the rain for another musical theme and talk about even more unforgettable songs. I can't wait to share it with you. Until then, keep listening, keep discovering great music, and don't let a little rain stop the music. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time on The Music and Me. Peace out, everybody. This has been the Music and Me podcast. Subscribe now so you don't miss a beat.